Hi, everyone. Welcome to these enlightening episodes of Stepping Up Changemakers Stories. I'm Catherine, your host, and I am honored today to be joined by the incredible Alvin Lim, a Slowdown purpose coach. Alvin spent 16 years in recruitment before embarking on a transformative career change into coaching. If you know me, you're aware of my passion for resilient stories. And Alvin's journey is a shining example of resilience and reinvention. I hope that you enjoy. His story is not just about changing careers, it is a testament of strength, the inner strength that comes from personal resilience. You won't want to miss the wisdom Alvin brings to the table, and I'm delighted to be sharing this with you. I hope you'll enjoy the conversation. All right, here we go. Hi, here we go. We have Alvin. Alvin, it's so good to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me here today.
And I would love to hear a bit on what prompted you, what really happened in that
Mm,
moment that made you think about having a career change?
Yeah, I think the final layoff, which happened um, earlier this year, um, was the big push for me to leap off the cliff of unknown.
Yeah.
Uh, Having been laid off for more than 4 times, I just had the thought that, there's no point for me getting the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 layoff and then experience the same thing all over again, right?
Mm,
So that was the push for me to decide that, okay, let me just think about what I want to do, think about what makes my heart expand, think about what brings joy to me, and then how
mm,
I can actually speak my truth in a way that I can make it a career,
mm,
and then take courageous small little steps to execute things that I want to do, right? That was the push. Um, and the pivotal moment when I was being pushed to leap off the cliff was also the time that I realized that, hey, the past 16 years, I've been honing my skills just for this moment.
mm.
Because if you think about coaching and recruitment, right, it's very similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I recall that, okay, all these trainings that I had as a recruiter, all this experience that I had recruiting people, they were bite-sized breadcrumbs for me to find my purpose and eventually lead me to what I'm doing today.
Mm. I'm curious about this because I had that. Did you feel attached? Was there attachment to what you did as a recruiter, as a senior recruiter? And how did you navigate that feeling of attachment to your title, to your role at the
Mm.
time?
And one fine day it struck me, like, all this job title, all this responsibility, all this, I get to travel all over Asia Pacific, all these things and benefits, they can just go with a snap of a finger.
Mm,
And then here I am attaching my self-worth and self-concept onto these things that I'm not in control at all.
mm,
And then I look at other people, like most people, they're like that. But unfortunately, they're not aware to the fact that they are like that. So when all these things goes away, the whole world collapses,
yeah.
right? I was fortunate enough to see that when I was still employed, and that vivid like vision in my mind made me decide that, okay, I think all this attachment to things, to title, to money needs to go away.
Mm,
But because we're human beings, it's impossible to say that, oh, today I don't want all this attachment and off it goes. It's not like that. It takes time.
yeah. Yeah.
And your ability to accept some of the harshest and toughest facts take time,
Yeah.
bit by bit. And as you build tolerance to all these hard truths, things get easier and you're able to let go a little bit here, a little bit there. And before you know it, when you turn back, right, you realize that you have let go a lot of things. And
Mm,
this is how I've actually learned and trained myself to let go of attachment.
yeah. It's that's really inspiring. And I think the skill of letting go is so powerful.
Yes.
It's hard to learn, but it's so powerful. It's so liberating when when you get there, which I am sure you know what I'm talking about. It's really something that that you can do by 1% practice each day, and then
Yeah.
you eventually get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And I want to like, since you're talking about this, I wanted to share something like there is a very easy way to let go,
mm,
and that is, but people don't know, and that is by number one, noticing that it is your brain creating stories of you not being able to let go. And number two, if you imagine yourself holding a hot cup, right? And
mm,
your hand is in pain, how do you let go? You let go by letting go of the cup.
mm,
Instant, the pain goes away.
yeah,
And that is the solution and antidote. But because our brain is playing stories, we don't do this. We just keep holding on.
yeah. The
But
unnecessary suffering.
correct. But it took me a
Right.
long time, right, to
Yeah.
realize this very simple fact.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And what role has perhaps self-awareness or coaching, or what was it really for you that helped you um to really change that career? Was there anything that helped you? For me, particularly, it was coaching and really the journey of inner work and self-awareness. I wonder what it was for you.
Helped me to transition.
Yeah, that has helped you to transition.
It was a lot of inner reflection and inner debate.
Mm. Reflection.
So
Sorry.
reflection and inner debate with myself.
Yeah.
So I see myself having debates with myself. I'm not crazy, right? But I think we all do that to some
We do,
extent. But
yes.
yeah, but I do it in a way that's very logical, right?
Mm.
So I pick a topic, I pick a problem, right? I try to dissect it in my mind and I try to debate, right? But end of the day, I have a guiding uh, guidepost, and my guidepost has always been happiness and joy, right?
Mm.
If my answer out of the debate does not lead me to happiness and joy, then that is not the right answer.
Mm. Yeah.
And that has helped me, navigate this process of change and pivoting.
Yeah.
I always have this kind of self-talk.
Yeah. Wonderful. Can you share me a bit more about this dialogue? How do you actually do that? Because
How
perhaps
do I actually do
someone
that?
else here would like to try it. That's like a reflection. So you pick a topic, you said,
Yeah, yeah,
and then kind of play with the inner voices.
yes.
Yeah.
It's I know it's difficult for people to comprehend, but let me try to do a role play here. Um, so I had this inner dialogue when I was laid off by my previous company in March. So a little bit of backstory. I took paternity leave because my second daughter just came out in January. So I was meant to go back to work in March 2023 this year.
Yeah.
And then 1 week before my return, I was being scheduled a call by the HR. And I knew that was happening. Like, we are all intuitive people, right? I can smell that from a mile away. Um,
Right.
and I just had this instant inner dialogue. Okay, what am I going to do? Right? The meeting has been arranged. I think I know what they're going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So how am I going to respond?
Mm.
right? Am I going to respond in anger, in disappointment, right? If I do that, does it lead me to feeling joy and happiness, which is my guidepost?
Mm,
And my answer to myself is no. It just makes me feel miserable about myself. And it just makes the other person who is reading through the script on my benefits feel miserable as well,
mm,
right? So how can I allow myself to feel joy and happiness, right?
mm,
And then my brain goes into survival mode. If I lose this job, what's going to happen? I have a second baby. I have an elder daughter. I have a family, right? It's money, right?
mm,
If I have no money, I'll die. Very drastic, right? I like to
mm.
think about very drastic examples, the worst case scenario,
Which is what
right?
most, I mean, most of us do. We're human, right?
Yes,
I think we would think the same. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And it is the acceptance of worst case scenario
yeah.
that really help us to go past that obstacle. Like, can you accept your worst case scenario? And I
Mm,
started going into that direction. Like, what if I really have no money? Worst case scenario, I don't have any savings.
mm,
I can live off perhaps 3 months of severance pay, and that's about it.
mm,
Then I asked myself, do I want to go back to recruitment? I can. I'm pretty sure that someone will hire me, but does that make my heart expand and give me joy again?
mm,
And I had the maybe, right? And then I asked myself, why maybe? I still love recruitment, right? And then my answer was like, I think I'm getting a little bit tired of this corporate race.
mm.
That was my answer. And I asked myself again, there's a debate going on, right?
Yeah.
If today, Alvin, you have no money, can you swallow your ego and go be a maybe a taxi driver, right? It's still a job, right? It's still a legal
Mm,
job.
yeah.
There's no shame, right?
No.
But you just don't make as much money as a white collar executive.
Yeah.
Can you be a delivery man? Can you be a mover?
Yeah.
Then the answer came to me and said, I can. And then I realized that, oh, I actually have, throughout my years of practice, have dissolved like a lot of my ego, right?
Mm, yeah.
Then I came back to that moment, okay, the call is happening. Am I able to go in with a calm and composed energy, listen to what they have to say, and not feel angry because I don't have to? Because I've worked all this in my mind, I've debated with myself. Am I okay to accept the reality?
Yeah.
And the end point is not how are you going to change things or how are you going to influence them to not lay me off, but how are you going to accept the fact
Mm,
that they're going to lay you off? That acceptance is
yeah.
what's important.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so deep. And then, I mean, the letting go was one thing, and acceptance, that's also another powerful skill that is also very hard to to do for most people. And
Yeah,
I said it's so deep because I think that it's so mature the way you thought about it, you know, that you the way that, well, yeah, can I accept that? Because that's really the hardest part, right?
yeah,
I always say that the easiest part is that when something bad happens, the easiest way for us is to tap into our ego, the fear
mm,
side. It's easy because that's just like us blaming people. That's
yeah,
us, complaining and just, having that really scarcity mindset. Uh,
yeah,
and I think it is a lot more challenging to just turn inwards and then,
yeah,
can I actually accept this? Perhaps there is something happening after this that I'm being redirected to something
yes.
else that is more aligned to what I really want in my life.
That's just bingo because whatever you just said and whatever I was working to accept throughout these years is in fact directing me to what I'm doing now, that is like teaching people how to accept and let go, right? Because
Yeah.
I've been there, I've done that, and those are the things that, and for whoever is like watching this, it's not easy, okay, but it's possible, and we just need to allow time to do its work.
Yeah.
Because when we are expecting things to happen drastically, then we'll be disappointed,
Mm.
right? It's
Yeah.
the small little moments of compounding effect whereby you're practicing every day. It becomes a habit. It
Yeah.
becomes a habit. And then over time, it feels easier. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you also have shared is that that little 1% comes from the inner work, right? Because
Yeah.
when we rely so much on the external factors, we just kind of put band-aids.
Yes.
And when you actually just go inward, and how do you dig in that letting go scale? How do you cultivate that acceptance? And that really makes you feel like you're in control again, because you're, whatever
Yeah.
things happen, you, it's like it won't affect you, right? Because
Yes.
life can just throw you a lot of things, sometimes tomatoes, like anything else,
Yes.
but you are just, that you can tap into that acceptance and letting go and say, you know what, let's wait and see, maybe there is something great coming out
Yeah.
because of this. I'm hearing also a lot of trust in life itself,
Mm.
that's what you shared, which is, that's where the flow is, right? That when you just
Yes.
trust, we can work as delivery person, we can work, be a taxi driver, everything is possible, right? What makes
Yes.
it not possible is our ego.
Yeah.
That would stop us in the track. But I
Yeah.
actually knowing that, um, you know what, I also believe, after hearing your story, that sometimes it looks like you take 2 steps back, but um, it may not be literally 2 steps back by, maybe having a layoff or taking another job to sustain,
Mm.
because that 2 steps back sometimes help us to propel to the direction where we really want to go. Sometimes
Yeah.
it does happen like that in life, but then that actually, um, yeah, help us to propel us forward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
I think what
we accept
most
that. Yeah,
exactly, and I think what most people tend to do, me included in the past, is that when we were pushed to take 2 steps back, we push away the idea of self-reflection
yeah,
because it's so painful.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
But it is the self-reflection that will allow you to take many steps forward. It's just like you're running a marathon and then you know that you got to be there as quickly as possible, but then you just can't breathe, right? And you have to take like 2 steps back to kind of like regain your breath again before you can like feel full and run again, right? But then there's no, we push away the need to sit down and reflect that, okay, is this is really what I need,
Yeah,
right? Because that mind reflection, it's so painful that our society tells us, don't go there, don't go there, just head to the bar, get yourself drunk, tomorrow will be a better day.
yeah.
But the
Numb
problem still
yourself,
lies.
basically.
Yes,
Don't feel anything.
yes,
Numb yourself, right? That's what we're
yes,
getting the message from the society. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's so much power in just feeling it and also reflecting inwards, like you said.
yes,
And I think taking the time to reflect about our life and ourselves, most people want to run away from doing that because there is so much
yes,
discomfort. And I think people don't talk about this enough, that it's a normal thing if you feel scared
yeah,
after you actually start your inner work journey.
yeah,
But just be kind and compassionate with yourself, and be patient
correct.
as you're doing that. It doesn't take overnight.
when you already are like that for 20, 30, 40 years, suddenly you want to change something
No.
that you have done the same thing over and over again for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
It's not that easy to change, right? And people often forget that and they become impatient.
Correct.
Yeah, it's such an important point. Thank you. And Alvin, I'm curious, what is your definition of success?
Happiness and joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's such
I
a powerful guidepost.
I used to think that it's money, right? I used to think that it's the car you drive, the kind of house you live in, how many holidays you get to take in a year, how big your social circle is, those
Yeah.
kind of things. Um, those were what I thought were my guideposts for success.
Yeah.
But I was wrong. I realized that when even when I have that or people have that, then we all know rich people who are not happy, right? So
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
kind of woke me up as well.
Oh, you're so wise. And yeah, that is so good. And that happiness and joy also is such an inner game too.
Yeah.
And when you can master that inner game, nothing else from the outside could really affect you. Yes, of course, it's not that you're happy all the time, but you can be compassionate and that inner game helps us to accept whatever happens. Yeah.
I believe our mind is very, very strong. Um,
Yeah.
we just need to learn how to untap it. Our mind can actually hold paradox ideas. In
Yeah.
and of itself, it can be in discomfort. It can be able to feel emotions, negative, positive, whatever that is, and still be okay to function. It's just that we have not learned how to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That sparked another curiosity, and our time is coming up. But I'm gonna say anyway, all about spontaneity here. And they talk a lot about being mindful,
Mm.
and I love that word so much. But at the same time, I feel like being mindful is not to think more. In fact, you think
Mm.
less. And
Yeah.
also being mindful means you're also uh, able to tap into your heart. It's
Mm.
more like a heartful, actually. So, and that's really just something that came up to me in our conversation, that
Mm.
we're so much in our head. Can we control that? But also sometimes tapping into our heart
Mm.
to check in. Like,
Yeah.
is this what I want in my life, right? And if
Yeah.
we just rely so much on here, then sometimes we're not getting the answer that what really is the key of our happiness. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm with you 100%. And I think this happens a lot, especially with white collar workers,
Mm,
corporate, right? People who are high up there. They use a lot of head energy,
yeah.
right? But they don't empty it, right?
Mm,
Which is why they feel very heavy here. But then on the heart area, uh, we have heart resonance, right? Like this
mm,
is proven by science. Why would hospitals, put things on your body to look at your heart pulses, right? We have
mm,
resonance, right? There's a magnet here, right? So when we talk about energy, um, people tend to use a lot of mental energy, think
yeah.
about things, right? To plan, strategize, right? Those kind of things. But people don't feel.
Yeah.
We are not taught how to feel things, right?
Yeah.
But children, they're opposite.
Yeah.
Naturally, they know how to feel things.
Yeah.
And that's the skill that as adults, as successful white collar people, we need to start learning again. Unlearn a lot of things and relearn a lot of things, right?
Mm,
And mindfulness is about, like you said, being mindful of what you say, what you do, what you see, what you hear, how you treat people, but at the same time, being mindful of how much you're storing here. and how less you are not decluttering.
Yeah.
Because the more you throw away unused energy of your mind, which is not to think about your future of the past,
Yeah.
just stay in the present.
It's actually
You have a lot.
reduction. You don't think.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
when you reduce a lot of things, you have a lot of new space to
Yeah.
welcome new things.
And one last question. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to someone who is considering a career change, whether maybe a change in industry that is more meaningful to them, or even leave corporates? What would be your one advice for them?
Maybe an integrated advice.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, because I think a lot of things comes together in pieces, right? So it's just not so linear. I feel like you need to first look at your finances
Mm,
and look at what you must have, right? And what you cannot not have, because
mm,
maybe you have a family, right? And when you feel safe and grounded about your finances, right? That means if you do take a risk to change out of a career, out of an industry, which means that you're starting from ground zero again,
mm,
right? Your survivability with you and your family will not be affected. That
mm.
is a must, right? That's a fundamental.
I agree.
Because once you have that, there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah.
Then the next step is to ask yourself, what makes you smile
Mm,
again? Because always lean back to the smile. If you think about an idea, if naturally is you smile, that means it may be the right one for you. But
mm.
if you frown and you just start doing this, then your mind is taking over, right? It's telling you stories, right?
Yeah.
So lean into your heart, ask yourself, if I'm going to change out of this career, go into something else, does it make me happy?
Mm,
Then ask a lot of questions, like why questions, like why am I wanting to change, right? The standard who, what, when, where, why questions,
mm,
right? Why
mm,
am I wanting to change? What do I want to do in the next career, right? How can I get there,
mm.
right? Things like that, right?
Yeah.
And then slowly explore. But first and foremost, look at your finances, because all these changes,
Yeah.
there can be risk, and our world is not in the best state right now, right?
Yeah.
Things, economic swings and things like that. So look at your finances, then look at your heart.
Yeah. So powerful. Thank you. I resonate 100% with that. I think anyone is in the best place to consider career change, whether changing industry or uh, starting something from scratch, when they have that financial confidence. So I am not also a kind of person who would just change overnight, right? Follow my feelings and my heart, and then boom, and then make such a drastic decision, right? I think, but hey, if that works for you, do whatever you want. But
Yeah.
I think I resonate here with Alvin, right? When you still have that job, the planning starts now. In fact,
Yes.
you're in the best position to start with the strategy to go get what you want. But it's got to start now, right? Before that layoff comes in, or before that, it's just giving you that advantage, right? When
Yeah.
you're actually early on thinking about that. So absolutely 100% with you on
But
that.
have a goal, but don't put it too far away from you, because
Yeah.
when it's too far, there's fear of getting it. There's fear of like, I'm not reaching it,
Yeah.
right? So that fear will put you down. So have your goal, but then break it down into small little pieces so that you can see it in front of you. Okay, this is the next easiest small step I can make to work
Exactly.
towards there.
Yeah. Start small. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alvin.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.